afternoon or good evening. I'm Audrey Wiggins, and welcome to another webisode of Make Something Happen. I'm excited to be here today with Jeff Nischwitz, and he is a speaker, consultant, and author, and also a relationship builder. And there's a title that goes around his agency, and that is that he is the Chief Question Officer.
Yes,
Tell us
I am.
about that, Jeff.
Well, first of all, I like unusual things. That's what all my friends know. What it really came from was people over time started saying, you know, Jeff, you're amazing at asking just the right question at just the right time to help us see what we need to see. And sometimes that's individuals, sometimes it's corporations, but I'm pretty good at listening really well and figuring out a question that when asked will help them find the answer. Because a lot of consultants say, I have the answer.
Oh, right, yes.
I actually don't. I actually say, I've got the questions that will help you find your own answers and take you where you want to go.
And I believe that to be true, too, because over the years I've always said, you know, everything that I need, everything I need to know is down inside, but it's like, how do I get it out? And that's a journey, and sometimes, you know, not sometimes, that's not something that we can do on our own.
Well, you're right on, because some time ago, a friend of mine said to me, you know, Jeff, you are so amazing at asking a question that helps me see exactly what I need to see. And she said, how come you're not so good at doing that for yourself? I knew the answer. I said, well, it's easy. When I listen to you or others, I listen without filters.
Yes.
But when I listen to myself and ask myself questions, I got all the stories caught up in there, all my past. I can't, you know, they say you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yes.
You don't know what you don't know, and you have blind spots. Well, you do. So you need the outsider to say, I don't have any of those. I'm going to see you as you are. I'm going to see your corporation as it is. Good, bad, indifferent.
Okay, so does that mean you have trained and groomed someone to be the executive question answerer, question officer?
Not yet, but that's on the drawing board, because I know that for what I want to accomplish with this, I'm not sure what it is. I call it an enterprise. It's really more this life force. It can't be just me. So over time, I do need to find people who share the same core values, the same passion for what we're trying to achieve in terms of touching people and organizations and creating real change. And so, yeah, I do have to find people who have some natural instincts. And the question part is a lot of intuition. Okay. It's less about logic and more about intuition and trusting yourself. Okay. And that little inner voice that says, right now, oh, there's the thing. There it is. And to be someone who's not as I said earlier, a lot of consultants want to tell you what to do. What I've found is if I tell you what to do, I now have to convince you that it's the right thing. But if I ask questions and you discover it yourself, it's yours. Yes. And you're ready to go. I don't have to convince you. And that's why I find questions are more impactful.
And also then what we do after that discovery is that we aren't doing it to please our coach, you know, to please you. We're doing it for ourselves. We still love you. And we're still going to get the love. I'm going to say, hey, this guy helped me. And that's true. Because we just, again, I go back and say we can't do it on our own. No matter if the answer is still inside of us, you helped us to bring it out. And that's awesome. All right, we'll be right back with Jeff.
Cool.
Did you know that your opinion matters? Did you know that your vote really counts? Well, it does, at least as soon as you apply this right. But what's a right anyway if you never use it? It's yours and nobody can take it from you, right? Wrong. By not having what you need in order to vote, you allow this right to be taken away, which is un-American, unjust, and unfair. Take a stand. Go to www.project5millionvoterid.com.
Go beyond. People of the world, it's a brand new day. Turn it up, let the music play. Let's go. No stars too bright that you can't catch the light. This is your day to shine, your time to win. So raise your cup and drink it in. Why do the same?
We're back with Jeff Nischwitz. He is the
Chief Question Officer.
Chief Question Officer. So that first segment there, he's given us a lot of good background of food to go on, and we're going to let you know how you can get in touch with Jeff so he can find those answers that are down inside of you already. Okay, Jeff, let's tell us, you're an author. Let's tell us about the books.
Well, it's a funny story about the book.
Okay.
The book is called Think Again, Innovative Approaches to the Business of Law.
All right. Where does that come from?
Well,
law, L-A-W.
Yeah, I try and hide that part of my past.
You said it real fast.
In the beginning, I was a lawyer.
Okay.
And now I am called, depends on who you ask, I'm reformed, escaped, recovering, happy, or lucky ex-lawyer.
Okay.
And apparently, according to friends and family, you're never an ex-lawyer because they always want free legal advice. So what happened in my journey is...
So in that case, you have answers then.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I say I don't know.
All right.
I don't
Good
know.
answer.
I don't do
Good
that
answer.
anymore.
Phone a friend, not me.
Yes, or I tell them who to call.
Yes.
What happened was very traditional path. I worked for a big law firm, was successful, and said that, but this isn't me.
Okay.
And I went out and started my own firm, and really loved it. I loved building a business. I loved the business side of law. And then I realized that I didn't like practicing anymore.
Okay.
And it was a big deal because I decided to quit being a lawyer, and it freaked everybody out. Friends, family, colleagues, who all said, how can you leave something that you went to school for all this time, you've done it for 17 years, and you're good at it?
Okay.
And I said, but I don't like it. And I can't do something I don't like.
That's right.
And as good as I was good, but I didn't like it.
Okay.
I said, I can't do something I don't like, despite all the other attachments. So I decided to leave, and I started doing several different things over the last 10 or 12 years. But one of the things I did is I started doing seminars for lawyers on how to run their business. You don't learn that in law school. You learn, by the seat of your pants with no guidance and not much out there to learn from.
Wow.
So I started doing seminars, and then what happened is one summer, talking about motivation, I got an email from a very close friend of mine who lives in Calgary, Cheryl. She sent me an email saying, Jeff, I'm excited to let you know that I'm just about to publish my first book.
Wow.
And I'd always wanted to write a book, and I was actually angry.
She got there first.
Yeah, not at her, but it was like,
You haven't.
come on, Jeff, you can write a book. So I made a list of the different types of books I could write, and long story short, I said, you know what? Why don't you take these seminars, turn them into a book?
Wow.
And I did, and a publisher came along and said, we think this is something people need, and it got published about 5 years ago.
That's awesome.
For lawyers.
That's great. So your time, your education, none of it was in vain. It was all leading up to where you are today.
Yeah.
And I like to think about how you turn 20 years old, and 10 years later your mind, because you're developing and you're really coming into who you are a little bit, not all the way. So by the time you're 30, maybe you're changing again, or even at least thinking about it, and you get a little uncomfortable. And here comes 40, and here comes 50. We won't, we'll pretend we aren't, we're still in our 30s, right?
Well, mentally I am.
Mentally, exactly. But we change, and the transitions. So what you're doing, I love that. That's exciting, that how you changed and you went with it. You didn't feel like you didn't get caught up in, that I'm a lawyer, or that I went to school, or made this investment. But the investment is never goes away.
It's interesting, Audrey, because I get asked to tell that story a lot about how I got out of it.
Yes.
And I didn't understand it for a long time, because to me I said, it's not a big deal. I just did it.
Oh, yes, it is.
But people wanted to hear it because what they love about it and what attracts them to it is saying, here's somebody who was established and successful and right on target, and he walked away.
Yeah.
And I think people are questioning it. They're frightened by it, and I think some of them are empowered by it to say, wow, someone can really, really do that? Because being a lawyer has a lot of attachment to it.
Yes.
I mean, I always joke, but it's not. My mother, I swear, used to be so proud to say, my son, the lawyer.
Yes.
And when I quit being a lawyer, she didn't understand what I did. My dad was a baseball coach, so the coach thing didn't make sense.
Yes.
And ultimately it came down to, like most of us in business, we're in sales. And I honestly don't know that she's ever told anyone what I do since I quit being a lawyer. So there's a lot of these attachments.
He's over there doing something. He's successful. He hasn't borrowed any money, so he must be doing okay.
Yeah, he talks to people, and I don't know, he works with people, and But it's easier to say, he's a lawyer.
Yes. Yeah, and it does have a certain, stigma to it, societal, the way we put labels on things over here in this country. But I'm excited for that transition because for me that is very empowering. It really is. I mean, it's because you answered the question that was always inside of you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What do I really want to do? And this is not it. Being a lawyer, wasn't.
Well, and it's funny, Audrey, because that highlights something that's really probably one of my core values, and I didn't know it till recently.
Mm-hmm.
That my wish for everyone is not, I don't want to tell them what to do. I don't know what they're supposed to do.
Right.
And I know that it's scary to change. People think it's not scary. What I've done was scary.
Oh, yes.
I did it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would love to be able to see is that people are making conscious choices, and when I say they're awake.
Yes.
They've woken up. I went through a lot of years. I wasn't awake.
Mm-hmm.
I was just doing it. I went to work every day and I did the job. And even when I started my own law firm, so I was a business owner, I was just asleep, doing it every day.
Yes.
And then I woke up one day and I made a big change. And I've had a couple wake ups since. There wasn't just one. I go along and I go, hey, this isn't where I want to be. Time to wake up again.
Yes.
So this idea of conscious living and conscious decision making, and I talk to business owners about, are you doing your business by choice or by default?
Okay.
They say, I make choices every day. I said, yeah, but the ones you're not making are probably the most important that you have to make.
Yes.
The ones that you're thinking about all the time, or you're hesitating. Pick a side. This thing of sort of waffling and straddling the fence doesn't serve us, even though it feels safe. It feels safe, but it's like this every day. We wonder why we're stressed out.
Yes, yes. And we want to do it before that grim reaper comes. We don't want to go to the graveyard and take all of our talents and our gifts with us. We hear that so often.
Too much.
It's kind of cliche, but it's
all the talent in the world is in the graveyard.
Yes, yes, yes.
All that untapped potential, the things people never did. They waited for the time to be right.
It's never right. It's like, I'm going to take this vacation, I'm going to save this money, and you never go.
Someday.
Someday, right. Someday my prince will come. I don't think
I did a scientific survey on this, Audrey. I really did.
Okay, let's hear about that.
About someday.
Okay.
See, today, I'm looking forward to doing something someday. Mm-hmm. But by the time someday comes, it's actually today. So someday doesn't actually exist. So as soon as you say, I'll do it someday, you've basically said, I'll never do it.
Yes, that's a great space to take a break. And we'll be right back with Jeff. We'll have some exciting conversation here, and we're going to get some more information and some more juicy stuff from him. I really like this. We're going to ask some more questions and give him some answers. All right, thank you. We'll be right back.
Impossible is a word that shouldn't even be in the dictionary anymore. I think that Nelson Mandela said it best, because he said, it always seems impossible until it's done. It's all about connecting with our clients and customers. Your clients and customers want to feel valued. They want to feel cared about. They want to feel like they matter. The essence of building these relationships and connecting with your clients and customers to create the world-class experience is simply a matter of listening for their stories and personalizing their experience based upon those stories.
Jeff is the founder and chief question officer of Think Again, a speaking and consulting company that helps people and organizations build relationships that drive results.
All right, we're back with Jeff. Jeff, that was awesome. The someday scientific study you had done, I think that's very interesting because we always say that, and I can remember sometimes even as a child, maybe my mom would have said it to my sister or myself or whatever, your day will come, baby. It's like, it's never come. I'm still waiting.
I'm waiting.
Yes, exactly. But we've failed to realize that once we get to a certain point of accountability, we have to put some action behind, there's some plans, write some goals out, do that, and start on our journey to really get there. So we want to continue a little bit. I'd like to delve a little bit more into that, and then let's talk about some of the workshops you've done and anything new you may have coming up.
Well, the concept you're talking about where people say, that someday, or it's out there in the future. I actually believe the opposite.
Okay.
Today is the only day we've got. And I think we've got everything we need right here today to
Yes.
be whoever we're meant to be. We may not, what we're going to have more of is what we create.
Okay.
And a friend of mine the other day told me a story. It was just so much wisdom in the story. He talked about how he had lost he couldn't find something. It was a magnet.
Okay.
And he wanted to send it to someone he couldn't find. He got angry about it. He finally had to leave his office. He picked up a pile of stuff to take with him, and there it was.
Wow.
Because there was some metal that it had magnetized to.
Uh-oh.
And he,
This is going somewhere.
right, and he looked
Let's
at
get
this
our
and he
audience
said,
engaged in this
"What's
one."
this magnet? It's right here." And I looked at him and I said, "Wow." And he said, "What's the wow, Jeff?" I said, "The wow is it was there all along. All we had to do was open our eyes."
Wow.
And I believe
not
that
saying that to
all
be
we
funny
are
either.
is
Yes.
right here. It's right now. I don't have to go create something. All I'm supposed to be exists in me already. I just have to let it out. And so a lot of my work is whether it's with individuals or with companies, and there are no companies. It's just a bunch of people.
That's right.
It's helping them
I'm
understand
going to need a
they've
t-shirt
got
in
it
a minute.
now. They're ready now.
Yes.
It's right here. It's just we have to let it out. That's all. All we have to do is let it out.
Wow. And I'm saying that wow for real. Not to be to be funny, because that's amazing. So in that wow, and that was such a teachable moment for your friends. So in a one-on-one, coaching, then what would that be like?
Well, when I'm doing the one-on-one coaching, it's really been cool, Audrey, because in the beginning of this business, I worked with businesses and I brought business-type solutions.
Okay.
But in my heart of hearts, what I knew was that there's this combination of business and personal,
Okay.
and they're not separate. And that what's holding most of us back is something inside us.
Yes. Yes.
And through my own development and, frankly, my willingness to take the risk, what I believe is happening is I'm bringing into the workplace, into leadership, the really hard questions about ourselves. So when I talk to people and work with them one-on-one, I'm trying to do a couple of things. Number one, get to the core of what's holding them back.
Okay.
Not the first 15 levels usually. It's this and it's that and it's
Right,
all superficial.
Right. And another person over there.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things going on. The situation, the economy.
Yes.
So I want them to take personal accountability for their life. But I ask the questions that take them to the core to find out, so what's driving that behavior or indecisiveness, whatever it is.
Yes.
And what happens is we find out that it's core stuff, it's personal stuff. I mean, I'll tell you, a lot of my conversations get very emotional because people are going to take a look at themselves.
Okay.
I talk about the mirror a lot. Being who we're supposed to be, achieving what we want to achieve is a lot about looking in the mirror and telling ourselves the truth about what we see. And a perfect example happened recently. I was with a new friend. I just met her. And she was fairly new business and was telling me that it's not where she wants it to be, not where she needs it to be. And she's surprised because she's always been successful. I'm a very confident person. I'm a get-it-done person. I've always achieved. And right now it's not quite where I want it. And there was that moment, told you about the questions.
Yes, yes.
I looked at her and I said, tell me something. When you look in the mirror every morning, do you see the person you just told me about, who's confident, who's successful, who can do anything? Or do you see someone else? And she looked at me, and this is someone, again, I just met.
Yes.
And she said, you're going to make me cry.
Wow.
I said, it's okay. She said, I don't see her.
Okay.
There's some things in my life that beat me down. And when I look in that mirror, who I see is someone who has failed at some things, who's not as confident as she appears, who's really struggling sometimes every day to believe I can do this. And I said, that's great. And she said, why is that great? And I said, because now we know what to work on. Because until you tell yourself that truth, the rest is just dressing. It's just shining it up, but you're not dealing with the core issue. And when people can deal with that, now we can start to really transform them. Not change their behaviors. I'm talking about transformation.
Yes.
Taking people who were struggling in whatever it is and to have them literally come alive and unleash themselves. But you've got to do the work. And organizations have to do the work. It's not about tactics.
Yes.
It's
yes.
about this deep work about what's the core of you, what's the core of your business. So I'm evolving into this person, and it's scary. It's scary because not everybody's ready for it. Not everybody wants to talk about it. It's not your normal business speak.
Yes, yes.
But it's this evolution to someone who can bring the inside solutions to a business problem
Okay.
or a life problem.
Yeah, that's right, because whatever that business problem is, like you said, there's people behind whatever that is, and we're bringing all of our filters, all of our personal experiences, and our relationships to that. You're right, and sometimes, I can only imagine that sometimes we can't come to a business decision because of all of that.
Yeah.
All that antagonism and just junk.
All the stories. I call it the stories.
Yeah, so so for in your speaking engagements, then you speak to a lot of organizations then, and that keynote would be driving into that area.
That's one of the core ones.
Okay.
What's happened for me, Audrey, is I didn't know what this was in the beginning. I liked speaking. I did a little consulting. It was funny. I actually at the beginning said I'm not really a coach.
Okay.
And part of that was there's so many coaches. I didn't know what that was. Well, if you look at my business today, it's part speaking, part consulting, and a big chunk of coaching.
Okay.
A lot of the coaching is either the one-on-one individual coaching, career or life, call it life coaching. You throw that label on it, and then people say, what's that about? I said, well, it's really about figuring out who you are and unleashing the best of you.
Okay.
But then I do that individual work. I do a lot of speaking. Speaking, I usually talk about relationship building in terms of how you get business, keep business, provide great value and experiences for your clients.
Okay.
I do come in and work with a lot of organizations, what I call it team acceleration, where it's really about, we're going to help you. When I talk to companies, they don't tell me we don't have any ideas. They say, we're not really great at getting things done.
Okay.
And some consultants are about, I'm going to show you how to get things done. I'm going to come in and show you how to communicate,
Okay.
how to hold each other accountable in a way that's okay, it's not harsh, and you're going to execute.
All right.
All those ideas, we're going to go.
Okay.
Are you ready to go? Because it's ready to go, let's go. If not, then let's go talk to someone else. So it's funny because the motivational piece, I've told a lot of people this story. A couple years ago, people said, Jeff, you're really motivational. I said, no, I'm not. They said, no, you should be a motivational speaker. I said, no, I'm not. And the problem for me was I had a story going that a lot of motivational speakers were rah-rah without any substance. It wasn't deep. It wasn't transformational.
Yes.
And then I just finally, enough people said, well, Jeff, you better get over it because you really are inspiring. And so I said, okay, I guess I am. And so I've evolved into also doing what you call traditional, inspirational, motivational talks, which are about how do you face your fears, how do you get past obstacles, how do you unwind all the stories in your life, confronting your filters, looking in the mirror, sort of taking, and the cool part is what all I'm doing is I'm sharing with them my own journey. The one thing that I love because I feel like I'm in personal integrity is that there's nothing I talk to people about that I haven't undergone myself.
Yes.
I've stared into the abyss.
Successful. Yes.
I've looked at the dark stuff. I've looked at my shadows.
Yes.
And come out on the other side. And that part I can stand in front of a group or an individual and say, yeah, I know this is scary, but it's really cool on the other side.
Yes. Now, how did you get there, though? How did you, or someone, or where you get to the point where you were able to draw out and look in that mirror to yourself and ask those questions and get the answers?
I think two things happened, Audrey. One is I just got tired of the life I was living.
Okay.
I was tired. You know, I saw, not in others, it wasn't comparing to others. I wasn't happy. I was okay. And what I started to realize is most of the world is just okay. And okay is not good enough.
That's right.
You know, I wear this orange band every day I created a few years ago.
Okay.
It says never settle.
All right.
And that reminds me to not settle for okay. And it's not that it has to be perfect. I want to be happy. I want to be joyful. I want to live life. I want to do something in my job and my business that I am truly passionate about.
Yes.
And most people say, well, Jeff, that doesn't exist. I'm here to tell you it does, but you have to do your work. So part was being just frustrated and tired of living this flatline life
Okay.
and believing there was something more. The other part was friends. I had a couple of close friends who invited me to go to some retreats.
All right.
And it took me probably a year and a half or two before I accepted.
So,
And when I
okay.
finally did, I discovered some stuff inside me that I wasn't even aware of,
Okay.
and started saying, wow, I don't want to deal with that. But I chose to, and from then, I will tell you, Audrey, it's like a rocket ship.
Wow.
That once
Wow.
you're willing to take a look at the really hard stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the rest is easy.
Okay.
It just starts happening. And
Okay.
literally every day I feel like I evolve, every single day.
Wow. That's exciting.
And it's short term.
Okay.
And the funny part is that I have some very dear friends who have said to me, I have a very, very dear friend, my best friend. I've known her for about 5 years. She told me last night, she said, there's big parts of you I didn't like 5 years ago,
Okay.
but I loved you. And I said,
Wow.
so you overlooked it? She goes, yeah, I overlooked a lot. You're not anything like him.
Dang.
I said, really? She said,
Uh-huh.
it's almost like I don't recognize you. You've come so far in just 5 years.
That's exciting.
And it is.
That's.
So I share that with people and say, when's your time? Right now, not someday.
Yes.
But the cool part is this. I don't make people do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not ready today, that's okay.
Yes.
The only thing that I hope for them is that they make a conscious choice today to either say, I'm going to do it, or I'm going to consciously choose not to, versus just gliding along.
Okay.
So when I ask my hard questions, and we get to an emotional moment, or to the pivotal moment, and they say, I'm not ready for that, I honor that.
Okay.
You know what? That's great, because you're making a choice.
Yes.
But before today, most of us are just going through life on autopilot. I exist to have people make choices.
Okay.
And once they choose, I honor whatever their choice is. But I will tell you this. I call it the crazy train. I invite people to get on this crazy train.
Okay.
And it's really not crazy, but in our world it is. And the crazy train is about having amazing, intimate, connected relationships with people. It's about like doing silly things, like being fully present in a conversation instead of being distracted all the time. It's about doing what you really care about. It's about waking up every day and saying, it's already amazing, no matter what happens. So people say I'm crazy, and I'll say thank you.
Absolutely.
And there's still a seat on the train for everybody. It hasn't left the station, but it's moving.
That's
So
awesome.
everybody's welcome on the crazy train.
Okay, that's a great place to take a break. When we come back, we're going to invite you to get on that crazy train with Jeff. And I've got the first seat. We'll be right back.
You got it.
New customers are out there, looking for what you have to offer. But which site will they find first? Yours or your competitors? Customers use search engines such as Google or Yahoo to find what they're looking for. So a high search engine ranking is vital to give your site a jump on the competition. And that puts you in an ideal position to increase traffic and sales. That's why search engine visibility is essential. Whether you're new to internet commerce or an established pro looking to grow, search engine visibility can increase your site's traffic and sales. It's easy, affordable, and fast. Search engine visibility leads you step by step through actual examples of search engine optimization, hot tips, powerful techniques, best practices and ranking methods. Search engine visibility has it all. But search engine visibility doesn't only help drive new traffic and increase sales. It also helps you monitor, benchmark, and adjust your site's key search engine data. You'll know at a glance which search terms produce strong results and learn to make them even stronger. Search engine visibility even submits your site to hundreds of search engines and online directories automatically. Now you can compare your site to your competitors and pinpoint the top sources of traffic. So are you ready? Then get discovered. Improve your search engine rankings and maximize your traffic and sales with search engine visibility today.
We're here with Jeff Nischwitz, and he is the Chief Question Officer. And he's going to ask some questions, and we're going to provide the answers. We're going to get on with life and make something happen, as the show alludes to. How about that?
Make something happen.
Yes,
We need more of that.
absolutely.
We need
Yes,
more of that.
definitely. So you're talking about the different workshops that you give, and how you work with your clients and the one-on-ones. And there's a story that you told once when I met you at one of the upcoming events. I'm going to plug in my friend Dolores, our friend Dolores, who's also been on the show. And you told the story of a gentleman. I think he was at a party. I can't remember if it was someone that you knew or didn't know, but he was, I think his brother died or something. Yeah, if that's something you could share with us.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, the setting was actually a business event, which made it even more impactful.
Okay.
And this is someone I would say was an acquaintance.
Okay.
I wouldn't even call him a friend at that point.
Mm-hmm.
He approached me that day at this event and said, "Do you have a couple minutes to chat?" I said, "Sure." And he said, "I'm about to go speak, and I'm really nervous."
Mm-hmm.
And I thought he was nervous about speaking. He said, "I'm nervous because I just got back from California a couple days ago to see my brother for the last time."
Okay.
It was his older brother who was his mentor, his best friend, who was dying of cancer. All the support had been removed. This was he had his last visit. And he said, "I turned off my phone, and I've looked at my phone, though, and I have 4 messages, and I'm convinced it's from California, and I feel bad, but I don't want to know he's gone because I have to go speak." And I said, "Well," his name is Jim. I said, "Jim, do you feel your brother right now?" He said, "Yeah, I do."
Okay.
And I said, "Do you get that will never change? Your brother will always be with you. The way you're feeling him right now, he will always be with you." And he had a little emotional moment, which made him nervous because we're in a business setting.
Right.
Because we're not supposed to be intimate in a business setting. We're not supposed to talk real. And it was just a moment that was really beautiful because it was an opportunity for someone outside himself to share something that maybe he knew already, that while his brother was going to be gone soon, physically, he would be carrying him with him his whole life. And I shared that story at Up Women as an example of we live in a world where that's not the norm.
Yes.
We're not supposed to have those conversations at business events. In fact, some people would say they never have a conversation that deep.
Yes.
And that intimate. And I say, why not? We're human beings who are starving to connect and to heal ourselves, and we all have some level of pain. And why can't we share it there? And why can't we share it with another person? And why can't 2 men share it?
Exactly.
And why can't you share it with an acquaintance versus your best friend?
Yes, yes.
In that moment, we had an intimate discussion and connection between 2 acquaintances. So when people say, "I saved that for my best friend," I said, but we're missing out. All of us are going through something every day. Why can't we be there for each other?
And that goes back to what you said earlier about the moment. This is today. This is now.
Right
Instead
now.
of holding that, and what if you call your best friend, and you can't reach them, and you're carrying this around, holding it, waiting, when you could have gotten that release and healing, last week.
Right now.
Yes, right now. Yes.
It is this moment. This is all we've got is this moment.
Yes.
People can make all the plans you want, but all those plans are about this moment and the next moment.
Yes.
What are you going to do in this moment? What decision you're going to make in this moment? What question are you going to ask in this moment? And what truth are you going to tell yourself in this moment?
Right.
The rest is just to come, to be continued.
Right.
It's a future episode.
Absolutely.
People spend so much time worrying about tomorrow, about things that haven't happened.
My God.
I mean, and I used to be that way.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, I know what this is.
Yes.
But now it's like, to me, that's crazy. I had a conversation with my mother recently. There was some issue with my father and their divorce, and there was some stuff that might happen. And I said, "So, did any of this happen yet?" "No." "Are you sure it's going to happen?" "No." "When will you know it happens?" "Well, silly, when it happens." "So why are you worrying about it today? It hasn't happened yet." That to me is crazy, to waste even one moment of life,
Yes.
one breath of life over something that hasn't happened yet.
I'm laughing, but you're so right.
But we do it every day, don't we?
Yes.
Without
we
thinking
do.
about it.
Yes.
So I just want people to think about it. I want to be in people's head. You know, people have accused me, not accused me, well, they have accused me of being disruptive, disturbing their thinking, getting in their head. I said, yes, I want to be in your head. When you start to think about stressing about what hasn't happened yet, I want you to say, God, that Jeff is like coming in my brain. He's not even here.
Yep.
I want to come in your brain. I want to get in your head and have everybody I meet carry a piece of me around. That when they go to those places that is not really serving them,
Yes.
it's like a little shock. Well, wait a minute.
Is.
The moment. Breathe. See, imagine having this 24/7 inside you.
I don't know about you.
I
We're gonna
know.
click. We'll turn this off right now.
You don't get to turn me on.
Yeah. Okay. It's all right.
Once I'm in there, I'm in
You're
there.
in there.
I'm
You're in.
there.
All right. A wonderful place to be. But how did Jim end up?
It was really cool because it turned out that he did listen to the messages later, and the messages were actually saying that amazingly his brother was still alive.
Okay.
He lasted like
Awesome.
13 days. And so the outcome of that is, I hope that Jim became aware of this connection to his brother, that he and I got closer just in one conversation, and maybe both of us became even more willing to be that for others.
Yes.
And to express ourselves with others, because we live in a world that we judge, too many of us judge to be unsafe, where we're going to be hurt if we expose ourselves.
Yes.
You know what? That could happen. But what I've learned is there's a lot of safe places, and there's a lot of people who are ready to step into a deeper, more authentic conversation. They just need permission. They need someone else. I don't care if you go there,
Yes.
but I'll open the door. I'm amazed how many people that you would say, well, they're the conservative, strict business thinkers, and you throw something out, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, we can talk about this?
Okay, take this
Yeah,
tie
right
off.
Right now, yeah, it's welcome here. You can be whoever you want to be right here, without judgment.
Yes, and that's the key word, without judgment. We're so, myself included, worried about what somebody's going to think, or they're going to not think, but how I'm going to be criticized.
Well, and
Not
here's the
real.
cool thing. Here's the really interesting thing about judgments. People say, well, Jeff, you've got to admit people will judge me. I go, oh, yeah, they do. Oh, you admit it? Well, yeah, of course they do. They do it every day just like you do it. But here's the interesting thing. Right now, they're judging you based on who you're pretending to be.
So which
They're already
judgment would
judging
you really want? Yes.
Or would you rather be judged on who
Yes.
you really are? You're being judged either way.
That's true.
Which would you rather have?
Yes.
And they'll say, well, this feels safer. And then you think about it and say, that doesn't feel very good, though. And maybe it's not safe.
Yes.
Part of what I share with people is they think this is safe, where I'm at is safe, and this is risky. What I help them see is where they're at is risky, too.
Yes.
But it's so I can have risk either way, but over here I'm sad and stuck and at risk. And over here I'm excited, alive, and at risk.
Okay.
Huh.
That's powerful.
I don't know. I kind of like this one.
We're going to get this.
We're going to get a couple heapings of that one.
Yes.
And that's the moment of clarity that gets most people to shift when they understand that where they're at is not only not serving them, but it has all the same risks that taking the risk has.
Yes.
So what they're doing is taking a risk already and don't even know it. That's when they don't like me very much. Well, thanks a lot. Now, how am I supposed to not change now? I go, I don't know. Good luck with that.
Exactly. I'll see you later.
You
I've got
shouldn't have
someone
brought
else
me
to
in
talk
here.
to. Right. Exactly.
I should have a warning label on my business card.
Yes.
Be careful. You may not be able to come back to who you were.
And you probably pass out more cards.
I
You
know.
have another one of those cards? I need
yeah.
to give this to my neighbor.
That's a.
Well,
Have to
you gotta
think
think
about
about that. Got a new set of cards coming.
Yes,
Design.
maybe.
Yeah, if you need somebody to design them, I'm
Beware.
available. Yes.
Beware of Jeff.
Absolutely. But this is a great place to take another break, and we'll be right back with Jeff.
Imagine having 16 people located anywhere in the world on a live video conference at the same time. That is the power of My Video Boardroom. This is an exciting product because within the boardroom, you can do presentations, PowerPoints, share your desktop, and so many more features. Include up to 16 video participants. Chat. No reservations required. Toll or toll-free numbers. Up to 100 attendees via phone. VoIP audio, application sharing, and desktop collaboration. The only person that needs the My Video Talk account on this conference is you, the person that schedules the meeting. Everyone else just needs internet access and a simple webcam to be part of the action. With our unique setup wizard, you can be up and running in minutes. Imagine how this product could cut down on travel time and expenses for businesses all over the world.
Jeff, we've been having an exciting visit with you today, and I want to thank you again for coming by. It's just been very enlightening, empowering, and self-inspiring. All those things that that I could think of on the journey.
Thank you, Audrey. It's a good
time.
time.
That's awesome. Yes, it is, because the time is now.
It's now.
See, I've learned something already. Yes, and going forward with your life, what do you think, or how do you think your journey would end up or would be today? Like, because we aren't ending, we're still evolving.
Yeah.
What would your journey be today if you had not taken that detour or that turn?
Oh, where would I be today if I had not?
Away from being that attorney.
Wow.
The practicing attorney, because you're always going to have that. You're JD.
Honestly, Audrey, I've thought about this a lot. I know at a minimum I would be miserable.
Okay.
I would be depressed, and at times I wonder if I'd even be alive. I look at the changes I've gone through and the people who've helped guide me on that or push me to it, whatever it was.
Yes.
And I really feel like it saved my life. And I don't mean to make it heavy in saying that. I really think about it. So how could I have stayed in that?
Yes.
And be on that track? Because I know what that track looks like. And part of it is, I know because I meet people who are on that track. Whether it's as lawyers or some other career that was just as disempowering and unhappy and disconnected for them, but they're still at it, and they're my age or they're older than me, and they talk to me about, I'm being stuck, I'd like to change, but I'm not happy, but I'm doing okay, but I don't have all this stuff, but everything's a but.
Yes.
They've got 10,000 reasons that they can't or they won't, or there's an obstacle to change.
Yes.
And I honestly, the sadness for me, Audrey, is this, and I know this is just my judgment, but I look into so many people's eyes, and unfortunately I see two predominant emotions. I see sadness, and I see fear.
Okay.
And I experience sadness, and I experience fear, but they're not my essence. And I see too many people that's all they're about.
Okay.
Whether they see it or not.
Yes.
And to look into those eyes every day, and to know that inside of each one of them is a beautiful light and a beautiful spirit that's just wants to get out.
Yes.
It's not what we acquire, it's about just letting it out. And that's what gets me up every day.
Okay.
And it allows me to take more and more risks. You know, you talked about Up Woman. A lot of people had heard that story about me, one-on-one. I'd never shared that in a group before.
Wow.
That was the first time, but I said I have to.
Yes.
Because I have to share that story because it's who I am, and maybe it'll give someone else permission to take a look at the hard stuff in their life, perhaps the dark stuff, the stuff they're not proud of or even ashamed of, and just own it. And a lot of people have said that to me. Jeff, your willingness to be vulnerable allows me to take my own risks.
Yes.
So that's my journey.
Yes, that's awesome.
And it keeps evolving.
Yes. I can wait to see in another 5 years where your journey.
And we have a seat on the train for you.
Oh, that's right.
On the crazy train you mentioned.
I am definitely getting on the crazy train. I am definitely a crazy person.
It's a crazy train.
Yes, I'm always doing different. I'm different. So I'm definitely gonna get on that. Save my seat. I'm definitely got my ticket. I'm gonna be on there. But Jeff, what advice would you leave with our viewing audience here? What would you tell them, or where would you what would you just your advice from your area of expertise here?
The biggest thing I would say is to really be intentional about our relationships, and that's with ourselves too. One of the big pieces is people are always still be like longing for something.
Okay.
And what I think they're longing for are those relationships. Relationships that are genuine.
Yes.
They're vulnerable. They're intimate. And people say, "Oh, intimate, that means something." No, it just means very connected. They're very real. And people will say, "I want those. I don't know how to get them." And I'll say it's real simple. You have to be them. So be the person who is fully present in the conversation. Sadly, when you are, people will be amazed because they're not experiencing that anywhere else. We live in a world that's distracted. Be fully present with someone. Listen and really care about them. And also be willing to take risks to tell people the truth.
Yes.
So many of us, I talk to people, they say, I have to support my best friend, and the way I show my love to my best friend is to always just support them, which means to let them off the hook and to not ask them the hard questions because we're afraid that we'll be rejected by our friend, which is,
we don't want to hurt them.
We don't want to hurt them, yet we allow them to continue to stay in a place of uncertainty or being lost. So build the relationships. Give in a relationship the way you'd like to receive. Gandhi said a long time ago, be the change you wish to see in the world.
Yes.
So I tell people, whatever you're not getting enough of, start being it. Yes. And if you're in a workplace where that doesn't get reciprocated, then you're in the wrong place. There are places that people will embrace you. Yes. Find those places. And the last piece is be willing to take a risk. Okay. Take a risk to look at yourself, even the hard stuff, and be willing to take a risk with other people and be genuine with them. Most of us grew up with a message that said this: don't trust people because you'll get hurt. Yes. We've got to wipe out that story. Because the only way to step into our own extraordinary and to connect to other people's extraordinary is to be willing to take the risk to be ourselves and create a space where they can be themselves. Yes, it's risky. But on the other side of it is the ability to live a life that I'm living now, where I wake up every day with great friends, great relationships, loving my life, loving every moment, where no matter what the day is, and whatever it brings me, the day ends the same way I started it, with magic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Would you say that you're a spiritual person?
Very. Very.
Yes. This is a faith walk.
Oh, yeah. And it wasn't there. That wasn't there 10 years ago.
Okay.
It really wasn't there 5 years ago. That's the piece. Oh, yeah, this is spiritual. No doubt about it.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. I think this is an awesome place to end, and we would love to have you back and maybe do some group stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Here, this is great. Jeff, awesome.
Thanks you, Audrey. I loved it.
Yes, thank you. I did as well, and I can only assume that our audience is going to fall in love with you, and just want to watch this episode over and over again. But not that, but even just to plug into to what you're doing. So definitely get in touch with Jeff. His information is there. Have them for your groups or for individuals, and I believe you'll make a difference, for yourself, and you'll be glad that you did. So until then, you go out and you make something positive happen in your world, and I'll be back with you again next week, making something happen. Take care.